Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele. I'm flying solo today, so Kyle will be back later on in the week. So, um, hope everybody had a good weekend. I know it's Tuesday, but hope everybody had a good weekend and is being safe. So we got a lot to get to today. So, so we got some stuff that is current, we get some stuff in the future, and we get some stuff, a couple stories that have been going on for a while, but are kind of being put to bed. So, our first story. So let's just preface it by saying this: um, everybody at some time in their life has probably done this, uh, and maybe they are still doing it, and that's cool. I have no, I'm not one to judge. Um, anyways, um, so Variety came out with a little piece that basically said that one in every 10 adults pirated either television, movies, or live sports in 2022. And this is what it said. Approximately 23 million Americans, about 10% of the population, pirated content in the last year, according to an exclusive survey fielded by VIP Plus run by YouGov.com. So, here, I'm going to read off a couple of questions and a couple of their responses, what was actually said. Um, so, one of the questions was, um, well, let me read the article and then I'll get to the questions in a minute. While the vast number of Americans are law abiding citizens when it comes to consumption, a sizable portion confess to dabbling in illegal downloads or streams for television shows, movies, or live sports. But this doesn't necessarily come down to wanting to collect every episode of a show they love or a sense of getting over on one of the massive corporations. The ever expanding number of subscription streaming services are a key driver behind content piracy. Close to half of the respondents who pirated shows or movies said the cost of the content was too high. Individually, that is likely untrue. But the cost of subscribing to every single service in order to watch titles wanted is getting steeper and steeper, forcing some to opt out for other means. Yet the cost of watching everything is not only the only factor behind illegal viewing. A third of survey respondents who admitted pirating content said the content is being unavailable in their region for doing a reason for doing so. This likely this most likely covers international shows, movies, and sport rights, often for leagues too small to be profitable for a TV rights deal, such as in the United States. But shows that are not piracies is owed trying to avoid costs. So the survey goes on to find that the vast majority of content viewed illegally was available on a paid domestic streaming service, echoing the findings of the reasoning for piracy question, which I'll get to in a couple of minutes. With almost every major media company, save for A&E, for Fox, and individual SVOD services. This trend shouldn't be expected to decline anytime soon. The peak boom, which was hit in 2020, hit new heights in total output. It may have helped to contribute in one over three content pirates. Approximately 7.4 million Americans, which said they watched illegal content in 2021 rather than 2021. With content spending slowing down, there may be fewer titles to pirate in 2023, which might see the total volume lowered. So pirating content comes with risks, with 37% of those watching or downloading content illegally reporting that they had a device infected with malware as a result of doing so. Even knowing the risks, millions of Americans will opt to stream or download illegal via illicit means. Content made more affordable will stem from this, but with other content coming from it with a lack of availability, piracy will never be easily eradicated in the United States. Um, so, that being said, let me read a couple of questions and I'll get to my thoughts on this. So the first question I was asked is, did you stream or download pirated television shows, movies, or live sports in 2022? By pirated, we mean content obtained illegally through downloading or um, someone making a copy of an original. Now, I should preface it by saying this: I'm only going to give the yes and the no. About 15 to 17%, we have not sure or prefer not to say, but prefer not to say kind of is like a hint, hint, wink, wink. We did it, at least in my view. So we had 11% say yes, 76% said no, 5% said not to say. Um, the reason, or what was your reason for downloading it? 48% of people said the cost of content is too high. 36% said it wasn't available anywhere else. 32% said it wasn't available in my region. To the best of your knowledge, was any of the pirated content you watched also available on a legal paid streaming service? 6 out of 10 people said yes. It was 60% that said yes. 2 out of 10, 21% said no. The volume of content. Would you say you watched or downloaded more or less pirated content in 2022 rather than 2021? A third of the people said they downloaded more. 27% said it was less, and about 26% said it was the same. So a little over half of the people said it was either less to the same. And the malware risk that was being spoken about earlier. Have any of your devices been infected with malware, viruses, ransomware, etc. as a part of that? Three out of a little over a third said yes, and one half said no. Um, okay, thoughts. So here's the thing. Um, what you're getting. So look, I got to say a couple things. Number one, I did this many, 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 many moons ago for something. I think it was called Popcorn Time, and they threatened to yank the plug out. So that being said, okay, it's one of those things where I think that you have to, um, if you have to be, look, everybody has a budget, okay, and it's not like it's just Netflix today. Okay, you have Netflix, Apple TV, Hulu, Disney Plus, all of that. And the fact is that there are going to be some things where you have to pick and choose. Okay, I think Disney Plus offers a bundle. You can get Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN for, a little bit more. But that all being said, this is affecting how we view things. And, I mean, it's one of those business decisions that it's like anything else. Okay, it's always going to happen. Um, Now, this raises another interesting question too, because do people say, well, because it costs too much, do I go out and get a pass to my local movie theater, whether it's an AMC, A list, or Regal, or whatever it is, and just do it and do it that way? I think that what you have to ask yourself is this: at the end of the day, is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it? Is it worth the possibility of getting caught? Okay. I mean, look, this is all about risk and reward. Okay. How much you willing to risk to see The Mandalorian or, you know, one of your favorite television shows? Okay. Is it worth the fact of your cable company maybe cutting the cord on you? Is it worth you getting into legal trouble? Is it worth, copyright infringement? All of this stuff. I mean, even YouTube. The stuff that I'm on, I'm doing here. Like, this is why I use stills and I don't use video, is because, I learned a long time ago. I'm still learning. You know, it's about, you know, infringement. And the other thing you got to ask yourself is this: if this were your content, right? If this were your piece of work, if you busted your butt doing this, would you want somebody to steal from you? And, you know, it's not worth it. I mean, And that's why, and look, I get it's all a business. I get that and I understand that. But at the end of the day, it really depends on how many streaming services you have, right? I mean, if you got every single one, you're paying probably $40 or $50 a month. Um, if not, pick and choose. Or do you go get, like I said, a movie pass to your favorite, w- movie theater? I just think that at the end of the day, and by the way, this is never going to go away. Copyright, piracy is never going to go away. It's one of those elephants in the room, if you will, that we don't talk about in the industry. That is a problem. Um, and look, as I said, I'm not here to judge. Okay, I don't make that much money. As a matter of fact, I don't have a job right now. I'm doing this to try and build up my base and look for a job. But that being said, um, I would just say this: you got to ask yourself a couple questions. What is the risk and the reward? Okay, and second of all, is it worth it? Is it worth the consequences? And not only that, even if your cable company doesn't threaten to pull the cord, or is it worth your computer getting viruses? Even if you have Norton, and even if you have, all these antivirus things, it's not worth it. So you got to pick and choose. But I saw that stat today. I mean, this isn't a major breaking story, but I thought it was fascinating because when you see that the content could have been gotten, they could have bought the content, so to speak, subscribe to the service, and yet they didn't. Gotta wonder. Like, I mean, this is, as I said, this isn't going to change. Um, this isn't going to be anything big, but at the same time, I would just say this: it's um for the what you want to do. It's not worth it. So I don't know. As I said, I'm not here to judge. I don't like it. It's there, but I'm not here to judge. So, but I did think that was a fascinating story because it's not one of those things we all talk about, especially in the entertainment industry, and especially with so much content out there. I mean, we wouldn't 10 years ago we wouldn't have had this conversation, right? I mean, maybe Netflix, but I mean, Netflix is doing their own things with passwords. Okay, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? Do you think that piracy have I'm never going to ask you guys if you pirated anything. That's on you. But what do you think about the whole piracy issue as far as what the polls said and how it was done? And do you think, let me ask you guys this, do you think it was a problem? And if so, how did we get it eradicated? Do me a favor, leave your thoughts down in the comments. I'm really, really curious to see what you're thinking.